Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into an incredibly fascinating exploration of something that is literally happening inside you right this very second, the epic journey of digestion. We're going to break down the non-stop physical journey your food takes from the absolute start to the very finish. It's this complex, beautifully orchestrated biological highway, and we're going to see exactly how it all works. Now, you might think once you swallow your lunch, boom, it's out of sight, out of mind, processed and gone in just a few hours, right? Well, actually, the total time this entire process takes, from the moment you swallow to the time it leaves your body as feces, is a staggering 2 to 4 days. It immediately poses this amazing question. What exactly is your body's intricate biological machinery doing with your food for up to half a week? Let's find out.
Okay, let's dive into this. Phase 1, down the esophagus, or the quick drop.
Digestion kicks off the exact second you take a bite. Once you chew and swallow, that food has to get from your mouth down into your stomach. And man, this initial drop is remarkably fast. The ride down the esophagus takes only about 5 to 8 seconds. It's a rapid, incredibly efficient transit system. But how does it move so purposefully? Gravity helps, sure, but it's actually driven by a very specific mechanical action. That action is called peristalsis. Basically, it's the involuntary muscular force that propels food through your digestive tract. The absolute key word here is involuntary. You don't have to consciously think about this force at all. Your nervous system just takes the wheel, keeping your food moving steadily downward without you having to lift a mental finger. There's this brilliant analogy that really helps visualize this. It almost looks like an ocean wave pushing food from one organ to the next. Just picture a continuous, rhythmic rippling of muscles, literally squeezing the food down the tube, wave after wave, to make sure it safely reaches its destination. So at the very end of that tube, your food hits a sort of biological toll booth, the lower esophageal sphincter. It's this ring-like muscle that acts as a vital gateway. It relaxes perfectly on cue to let the food pass into your stomach. But, and this is super important, it has to close back up tightly. If there is a weakness in this sphincter, it causes a backflux of stomach acid shooting up into the esophagus. Yep, that is exactly what causes the highly relatable and completely uncomfortable everyday experience of heartburn. Moving right along to phase 2, inside the stomach, the acid bath. This is the volatile, churning zone where the real heavy-duty chemical action kicks in. Digestive juices and enzymes start aggressively breaking down the food you just swallowed to get those nutrients ready for later. And when I say volative, I absolutely mean it. The powerful hydrochloric acid inside your stomach could literally dissolve most of the other organs in your body. It's just a staggering amount of sheer, dangerous chemical power sitting right there in your abdomen. Now, these potent juices are absolutely critical because they give enzymes the super low pH they need to work, and they actively kill off harmful pathogens hiding in your food. So why doesn't it dissolve you? Well, thankfully, your stomach contains a thick mucus lining. That lining is all that protects the inner surface of your stomach. When there's too much acid, it can actually eat away at that surface and cause an ulcer. Now, what's really fascinating here is how the stomach handles different materials. Digestion speed completely depends on what you're eating. Simple carbohydrates break down the absolute fastest. That perfectly explains why chugging an energy drink gives you such an immediate boost. It's processed almost instantly. Proteins take a bit longer to digest. And fats, they take the longest time of all to break down in this intense acidic environment. All right, so once the stomach finishes all that intense chemical mixing and churning, it slowly begins to empty out. But it definitely doesn't look like the pizza or salad you swallowed anymore. To give you a vivid and, maybe a slightly gross mental image, the food now has the thick, sludgy consistency of oatmeal. It's in this totally pulverized, oatmeal-like state that the mixture is carefully handed off to the next major organ.
Which brings us to phase 3, the small intestine, the extraction zone.
So the stomach did the breaking down, right? Well, the small intestine does the taking out. As muscles continue to mix this oatmeal sludge with even more digestive juices, this time supplied by your pancreas, your liver, and the intestine itself, it runs into these tiny finger-like projections called villi. These drastically increase the surface area. Guys, this is the magic moment in our explainer today. This is exactly where the nutrients from your food are finally pulled out, absorbed through those villi, and sent straight into your bloodstream to fuel your entire body.
Next up, phase 4, the large intestine, the drying chamber. Once all those usable nutrients have been extracted, peristalsis pushes the leftover waste right here. And let's quickly clear up a very common misconception. It's named the large intestine entirely because of the wide diameter of its cavity, not its length. It's actually way shorter than the small intestine we just traveled through. Its main job is to absorb any extra water from the digested leftovers before they're finally excreted. And notice the massive shift in pacing here too. Remember that 5 to 8 second lightning drop down the esophagus? Well, in the large intestine, the whole operation grinds to an absolute crawl. It takes roughly 30 hours for food to slowly wind its way through this drying chamber.
And this brilliantly illustrates the delicate tightrope walk your body does during those 30 hours. If food passes through too quickly, too little water gets absorbed, leaving you with diarrhea. But if it passes too slowly, your body absorbs far too much water, causing constipation. It's this perfectly balanced biological equation that strictly dictates your everyday bathroom habits. Finally, we reach phase 5. The final evacuation, the exit strategy. The large intestine has done its job, the water is extracted, and the solid waste, which is now characteristically brown and, let's be honest, pretty stinky, reaches the absolute end of the line. But before we finish up, do you actually know what causes that characteristic odor? I'll give you a second to take a mental guess at what the true biological source of that smell really is. Well, if you guessed bacteria, you hit the nail right on the head. Here is the fascinating truth. You have microbes residing inside your large intestine, and they basically make an absolute feast out of the leftovers the small intestine didn't want. As these bacteria process and munch on those leftovers, they release gases. That distinct smell associated with stool comes entirely from the gases released by those very bacteria. So, the large intestine empties its contents into the rectum. This acts as the body's final holding area, and it serves a very practical mechanical function. It sends a signal letting you know, hey, there's a stool ready to be evacuated, and then it mechanically holds it right there until you are actually ready for that to happen. And there you have it, the complete timeline of digestion. From 0 seconds at the mouth, plunging down to the stomach in mere seconds, crawling through the large intestine for 30 hours, and making its final exit days later. But consider this. We just talked about the millions of bacteria inside your gut that process this waste. Well, scientists are now discovering that these exact same gut microbes actively communicate with your brain and can even alter your mood. So the next time you sit down to eat, ask yourself, are you just fueling your body, or are you literally feeding a microscopic ecosystem that controls your mind? Keep learning, keep exploring, and I'll catch you next time.